All right, yesterday was Ksan's $50,000 tournament, the showdown. Let's go through the teams, my thoughts of the team so far, and break it down. So I actually managed to watch, even though it was 4 a.m. for me, I watched the Optic Thieves series. I just about stayed up to about 5 and I just knocked out. I was watching, like, I was about to watch the Paris and Optic and I just couldn't. I literally fell asleep. So I watched most of the tournament besides the grand finals, and yeah, Optic got smoked. So it didn't really matter for me because I'm an Optic fan. So low-key glad I didn't see that one because I would have been tight. But hey, let's break it down and talk about everything. So let's go through the bracket, okay? For you guys that don't know, this is the current map pool. This is the current map pool we have in the CDL. For Hardpoint, we have Blackheart, Colossus, Den, Exposure, and Scar. With Overload, we have Den, Exposure, Scar, Search and Destroy, Colossus, Den, Exposure, Raid, Scar. Okay. Now, one thing that they have done, they have added in terms of sniping, is you can have a sniper on each team, but they only have 2 lives with that sniper. So if someone like Dashi is sniping round 1, and he's using a sniper, and he dies, he has used one of his lives. So he can only use a sniper for 1 more life. If Scrappy is using a sniper in round 2 on the other team, and Scrappy stays alive, he can use a sniper next round, and he still has his 2 lives. So it's not 2 rounds, it's 2 sniper lives. I like the fact that we're trying to add snipers in. I think it's a step forward for the pros. At least we have snipers in. I just feel for like, one, it's a little bit sometimes complicated to track. I also feel like I think they could cause some problems with this. Let me explain why. What if like I'm using a sniper and then what if I'm using a sniper and then I pick up a sub and then I die? Like, does that, like, say I don't have I only use a sniper for the start of the round, then at the end of the round I don't? Like, I don't know their complications. I feel like there could be complications, especially when they're playing for, you know, CDL tournaments and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's also going to be hard to track. How do you know? You know, sometimes they might not this, that. What if they say, oh, I just forgot, and they break a GA, they use it a 3rd time? I think it's like a step forward, but it's not a perfect system. That's what I will say. It's better than not having snipers for sure, but it's also not like the freedom of just snipe when you want. I do like the fact that we're trying to incorporate some strategy with it. I do like that. I just feel like it's hard to really tell. It really is, as a viewer. And probably as a player, like, how do you know sometimes someone could have a sniper, someone could watch the right lane, pick up a sub, and you don't even know they're sniping. I mean, it's hard to, I don't know, sometimes I think there's a little bit of a gray area, you know, where we're yet to see it, but that's a potential downside. In terms of the tournament itself, obviously the placements are going to be right here. You had price distribution right here. You had first place, you had the new GENTELMATES team, then you had Optic Texas in the final, then you had LA Thieves, then you had Atlanta FaZe. Obviously it was a 4 team tournament. Let's go through the bracket, starting off with winners round 1. We managed to get a Paris GENTELMATES versus an LA Thieves. I'm trying to open up the actual matches. Will I be able to? There you go. Okay, so let's start off with the first match of the tournament. It's going to be this right here, and I'm just going to give my thoughts about the teams and everything about that, because I think yeah, got a lot to say. So starting off, I do actually want to do an exposure breakdown from Mr. Ego Chow was talking about that as well when in the Discord when I said it. Was it live? I can't remember. Yeah, he was saying about that masterclass and need to do a map pool. So I think going into this, I did like the look of GENTELMATES, not just based on online this year already, but I think the team itself, I feel like it's got 4 players that have high potential, sometimes lower ceiling. No, other round. I think, okay, let me put it like this. I think the players we have here, let me show you. These are the 4 players I would say on this team, okay? I would say the potential is really high, right? The potential is really high, but sometimes they don't really meet that. So let me show you what I mean. This is kind of how I feel about this team, okay? I feel like Envoy has like his ceiling is there, but sometimes his floor is like down there, right? And then I feel like with Ghosty last year, same thing. He has like that, like low floor, high ceiling. Sib, same thing, low floor, high ceiling. I would say Neptune last year had a much higher floor where he played better majority of the year, but grand finals, he was down there again. So with this team, I think what you get is a lot of that. Where if you compare it to like, let's say Optic or Thieves, right? I think, for example, Mercules with Merc, right? You would say Mercury's ceiling is there, but his floor is generally there. So what you have is, I think with this GENTELMATES team is you just have a very high ceiling and a low floor where you could see them some events maybe finishing really low, and then you see them winning an event. So I think with this team, it's all about consistency. What they showed at the start of this year, of this Kson tournament, is that when they're playing on the same page and they're playing ahead, they are really, really good, and their fundamentals can be really good. And at the same time, I think what's different compared to this year to last year is people like, let's just say Envoy and Ghosty, okay? Right, Envoy and Ghosty, when they're on the team with, say, Hydra and Scrap, right? So when they were there, and then like there, for example, instead of Abizi, instead of Kenny, I think what happens is they kind of become the scapegoat a little bit, because you have two superstar players in Hydra and Scrap. I think sometimes it could affect Ghosty and Envoy's performances. So I do think there's a little bit of that as well, where on this team, I just hope that they can all keep playing as like individuals and no one gets that like superstar treatment. I think it will benefit this team. I really do. And Envoy is someone it annoys me because he's really good, but then like last year, like he had so many stinkers and he was still doing right things on the map, but he just had so many stinkers as well. And I really feel like I like him a lot, but I want him to do better, and I want him to be like the way he played this weekend. I think he's really good when he has that. Like I've seen so many people like talk trash on his name last year, and I'm like, you know, I just feel like he's not doing himself a good service. So yeah, really, really good performance from them. You see map 1 was an absolute slammage, especially on a hardpoint. I do expect Thieves to be a really dominant hardpoint team, so that was a crazy scoreline. If you look at the hardpoint there and the hardpoint there, the exact same score, it was actually quite flawless from them. It really, really was. Search and Destroy, you see they lost, and then it was a really, really good clutch overload if you guys watched that one. So I think overload this year again, just like last year with the control, is going to be a swing game mode, but this overload, like overload is super fun to watch. So I think whoever gets ahead in overload has a real chance in these series. So in terms of the actual series right now, you see map 1, you're going to go through, and like I said, you know, each of them kind of doing their own thing. If Neptune is going to be the most negative on your team, you're probably going to win a lot of series, because that guy is a really, really good aggressive slayer. So if he's not getting the kills, it's good that other people are stepping up in that department. In terms of Thieves, definitely a rough one. You can see Hydra and Scrap struggling, and then you can see Kenny, he didn't have the greatest weekend either. But look, I'm not judging anyone just yet. It's very early, but again, it's nice. It's okay. I'll put it this way: if your team's winning, it's good to see. If your team's losing, it's too early. Just chill. That's what I would say. So it's kind of like a win-win regardless. Like if your team's losing, you don't need to worry. It's just started. If your team's winning, you're like, all right, bet, let's go. We're already clicking. It's just nice to see. Then we go to map 2. The map 2 was a really, really solid performance from Scrap. Envoy with a rough one. You can see on the other side, yeah, Scrap just kind of had one of those takeover maps, and they were able to play really, really well. Then we go to the map 3 Exposure. And I will say one thing again, like if Thieves managed to get this one through, if you guys watched it, there was a bit of a mishap there with like Scrap and the ball when Hydra died, so there could have been a Thieves win. That would have been a very good win from Thieves, considering none of them even went positive besides Hydra. That would have been a really good one. Then we go across and we have the map 4, once again an absolute blowout, and you can see this time Neptune takes over. So and Ghosty had a, you know, relatively slow game in terms of slaying, got his hill time, so it's just one of those. Now Kenny had a rough one, so I think if you're a Thieves fan, you do got to look at Kenny like, hopefully he's not got the mental strain from last year and it's not carrying over. It's a fresh start, and you know, it's just not nice to see, as he's one of the legends in the game. You know, you want him to, at the very, you know, like, I don't really care about Thieves winning. I'm an Optic fan, but like, I don't want to see Kenny do poor. You know, I don't know. I like Kenny, man. I don't want to see anyone do poor. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see people like Kenny like at least do okay and decent, and if they lose, they lose. But I just don't like it when someone's a scapegoat. I feel like it's really tough on them, man. Tough on their mental as well, man. Imagine going on Twitter and everyone just trolling you, like people that can't even play the game. And like, I know people say ignore it, but hey, I'm telling you, it's difficult, man. Especially when you have thousands of people doing that. Like, I can imagine it's hard, man. I can really can't imagine it. So I think with Kenny, it's a confidence thing right now, but you know, hopefully he can come good. And yeah, this was just, once again, you can see from the Gentlemate side, very consistent. Literally all of them within 300 damage off each other, and it was just a great performance. Then that was it. They didn't have a map 4. So off the showing right here, I was more impressed with Gentlemates. I thought Thieves started a little bit slow, and I wasn't like, oh, what the hell was going on? But I was a little bit like, okay, they need to step up. And to be honest with Kenny, like, I looked at this as well, like, whether anyone says it or not to him, like, he's going to feel the pressure. And I just feel like it's one of those where you just, you know, you just want to start off strong, man. You want to start off strong. It just gives you so much momentum, to be honest with you. Okay, let's go into the next series right here. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have? If I go back to the Kson tournament, But yes, GENTELMATES I was impressed with. They did a really good job, really good job. Then we go to the next side of the bracket. It's going to be Optic versus FaZe. I was fairly optimistic with this one. As an Optic fan, I was fairly optimistic. I was like, you know what, it's going to go really well. Shotzi with the MVP, and the other one was Sib. I forgot to mention Sib had a great series. But if you see right here, I mean, it was just it was a fairly clinical performance from Optic. The search was really close. In fact, I think they were like 5-2 up or something crazy. I'm pretty sure FaZe were very up in the search. Hardpoint was absolutely dominant. If you look at the overall series as well, you can see Mercury and Shotzi with high 60s. Everyone on FaZe just lacking a little bit, especially in the 2 respawns. I feel like they just didn't really slay out. If we can actually check the maps individually, it'll probably give a better picture. But you see map 1 right there, Hook 21 and 25, Dashy just neutral, getting his time. And then Mercury's had a bit of a takeover map as well, 33 and 21. On the other side, you can see Abuza, Draza struggling a little bit, 0-4 a little bit, Simp, the only one kind of just slaying out. Yeah, definitely a rough one. I'll say Merc had a really good map there, and overall Optic, that was a very convincing win. For the map 1, it was a very convincing win. It definitely was. Even if you look here, like team kills, we had a lot more team kills, and it just overall, the map just felt like it was in Optic's favor throughout the map. Then we go to map 2, really interesting one, and Shotzi absolutely made the play there in the round 11 to get the win. But throughout the map here, I think if you're an Optic fan, even if they lost that, you kind of look at it like, hey, you know, we had a slow one. I think it was just Shotzi and 04 kind of making routes, taking over a little bit, and everyone else just kind of just being in and about the game. It was a very strange search and destroy, to be honest with you. It could have went either way. FaZe probably should have won that map, but I feel like as soon as Optic won that map, it was like, okay, GG's, the series going to be a 3-0. That's how I felt anyways. And then map 3, I already knew Optic were a great overload team, and it being 2-0 up as well, they just carried the momentum on, and you're seeing it right here. They just took over. Again, now this time, 04 having a little bit of a rough one, Abuza playing decent, Draza still having a rough one, and yeah, Optic just played really well, 6-1, so the stats, they're going to be lopsided. They really are. But I think Shotzi had a phenomenal series here, and Optic got really strong, man. They looked really strong watching this, and I felt really confident they would beat, you know, they would beat GENTLEMATES in the next round, but that wasn't quite the case, was it? Let's go through to the next round. Actually, it's gonna be FaZe Thieves first. Let's talk about this one. This was a elimination match. Again, there's nothing really, you know, the CDL hasn't started yet, but this was also like, it's kind of like, it's the preseason. There's a lot of money on the line, but besides the money, it's also like no one wants to lose. They're all going dumb hard. They're online, and it just gives you a little bit of confidence and momentum, just to like, you know what, like just gives them a little bit of that mental battle against your opponents, in my opinion. And yeah, this was a great series. The hard points went absolutely down to the wire. If you look at FaZe Vegas here, they did get 3-1 swept here, and again, this is all the mental game. You have the 2 new boys from Surge coming in, dropping a negative performance. You want to see a bit more from Abuza, especially. I think he didn't have his best weekend in the 2 series. Draza and Simp basically identical. Even Kenny struggled a little bit as well in the other one. If you look through, you can see 3 people with, you know, 90+ kills. Kenny did put the damage up, but just struggled again, just converting some of his kills. But I think he played a lot better. I think he made some good plays. Definitely was able to close out the hard points with some clutch plays as well. Then we go across right now. You can see man of the match is going to be Abizi against his former teammate Simp. And you already know these 2 boys are going hard against each other. First time playing against each other on LAN as well, the new teams. There's a lot of storylines developing here. Then we go to map 1. As you see from map 1, it was just a little bit more slaying. That's what it was. A little bit more slaying on the side of Thieves. You see 3 of them going a little bit positive, 2-2. It was very close. It wasn't much in it. It was a very good even game. I might even break that one down. It just came down to 1 or 2 hard points, to be honest with you. This one could have went absolutely either way. There was nothing in it besides 1 or 2 hard points. Having a score with 40 between them is absolutely fine. It's a very close game. Then you go to map 2 and a bit more lopsided towards Thieves here. So Thieves already having a great search and destroy kind of record here. You saw them yesterday taking out GENTLEMATES and a search, and now we had another search. But you want to look at the hard point. You want to get a cleaner hard point right now. They lost 2 hard points yesterday or earlier to GENTLEMATES. They had a closer hard point against FaZe. So right now you look at them and say, right, we want to clean up our hard point and we're good to go. And then they go through in the, actually talk about the search as well. This time a bit more of a Hydra and a BZ show, kind of just running it down a little bit. And once again with FaZe just didn't really have an answer. They just didn't really have an answer. I was watching that and it seemed like light work. The trades were well for Thieves. They just played that map really well, winning 6-3. Then we go to map 3, and this is where FaZe fight back as well. And yeah, this is where Kenny had a rough one again, 11 and 27. And these are the maps that you kind of just don't want to see from Kenny. If they're going to lose, you want it to be close, so it's just no pressure on him. I think these are the maps that's going to like cause a bit of pressure. People are going to talk, especially people that just look at KD, you know, they're just going to look at him like, oh, Kenny got fried. But to be honest, when you're dropping 11, like that is getting fried. It really is. I know his damage was decent, but look, Kenny's a great player, man. And I think one thing with Kenny is I want him to just focus on himself a little bit more sometimes. Like, and listen, who am I to judge Kenny? The guy's a world champion, bro. He's a phenomenal player, one of my favorite players. He joined Optic, got us a ring, you know what I'm saying? So I absolutely absolutely love watching Kenny, and I have nothing but respect for him, but I'm saying it like selfishly for him. Like, I wish he could maybe just selfishly help himself a little bit more sometimes, because I feel like it's kind of affecting his team and him in a negative way. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents on it, but no disrespect to Kenny, because he's, you know, he's a great player. And on the other side, again, Abuza with a slow one. Once again, like, if you win the match, so you kind of get away with it, but Abuza definitely didn't have the weekend that you expect as a FaZe fan. You want to see them show out, you know, this is their weekend event, opening event, so didn't have a series that you want to remember from Abuza, or a map specifically. Then we go through, and as I mentioned, the pop, but once again, a bang out, and you can see here very, very similar. And again, look, this is what I'm saying from Kenny, like, if you could have something like this now, the pressure just less on you. When you look at Abuza now, and there's just a bit more pressure on him. But I will say one thing, if you're FaZe, you look at that and say, you know what, we're playing the right way, we're just not getting our kills. The fact that the whole team went negative and they almost won, they lost by 10 points, I think is actually not the best for Thieves. I think that's actually, I know it sounds stupid, but if I looked at this right now, I would be better off as a FaZe fan. I know it sounds stupid, I know we lost, right? But I would say, like, okay, even though we lost, like, we played good. We lost the game by 10 with everyone getting outslayed. Do you see where I'm coming from? That's what I will say. When on Thieves side, I would say, right, we're not being as efficient with our kills. Like, it was close. It wasn't like they got absolutely crazy positive, but look, with 11, you know, with 10, 11 more kills, you just want a little bit more of a scoreboard. It's nothing crazy. It's only 11 kills, so it's not like it's insane. It just looks insane because they all went negative, but to be fair, it was literally by 1, by 3. So yeah, I kind of take that back. It wasn't that crazy. But yeah, again, you could be a little bit more efficient, but it was just a good bang out. So Thieves now winning both. Ain't Kenny the most? Exactly. No, Kenny is. That's what I'm saying. I think people disrespect Kenny. I'm saying more for his own sake. Like, I want him to just, you know, be a bit more selfish so people can't rinse the guy as much, you know? But yeah, good series from both teams. If you're FaZe, again, you just want to clean up some of your gameplay. Like I said, it's very early, nothing crazy, but FaZe definitely looked like, at this tournament, the 4th best team there. So, you know, and it showed in the standings as well. Then we go across to the next match, going to be the winner finals. And I actually thought this would be an Optic win here, and map 1 absolutely stunned me in my head right there, and it was a phenomenal series overall here. I was an Optic ready. I was ready for an Optic win here, and unfortunately it wasn't the case. And once again, it's that Overload. I think Overload is the massive game mode right now. I do think Optic was the best Overload team in the game in my opinion, but Gentlemates came in and they said, listen, we're not, you know, we're not letting you have that crown that easily. Hardpoint map 1, it was a great map. I think I will say that Gentlemates played very good in that map 1. Den is one of Optic's best maps, and I think they just took the fight to them. And you had Merkley's having a little bit of a unnatural match, I will say. He had a bit of an unnatural map. He's normally frying, so if you're an Optic fan, you take that one, you move on, you move to map 2, and I will say it was a very dominant map 2. There seemed to be no responses from Gentlemates in that search and destroy, just like yesterday or earlier on. Thieves as well kind of slapped Gentlemates on Colossus. So Colossus search is definitely a map I think Gentlemates will definitely look back on, get some reps in and some VOD heading into the CDL weekend. Then we go to the Overload, and once again, just like in the Thief series, it was an absolute clutch from the boys over at Gentlemates. And you can see here from the stat lines, it was a Dan Ghosty, just world-class performance, to be honest with you, with a 1.55 KD, just absolutely taking over. And again, if you're Sib right now, just imagine going negative and seeing your teammates clutch up and you win the match. It's just going to give you so much confidence. That's what I think this team is going to have really well, is just confidence in their teammates. I feel like at a lot of points with this team, individually in the last few seasons, like sometimes they play and they probably feel like, if I'm not doing my thing, like my teammate isn't gonna clutch up, kind of thing. And I just feel like this team, they don't have that superstar. They just have everyone doing their own thing, and I just feel like it works really well for them. On the side of Optic, nothing really wrong. It was a pretty standard performance. I think they just played well, Gentlemates. They actually held the game well. They had a pretty nice lead on the good side. I think Optic started off pretty slow, and they just didn't have enough time or kind of gas in the tank to bring it back in the second half there. So I think Gentlemates closed it out really well. Then you go to the map 4. This was a slammage. This is a slammage. And you see the big difference, bro. The big difference here is Merkley's with a 1.8. And this was just one of those maps you move on, you don't talk about if you're a Gentlemates fan. And this was kind of belt to arse, I ain't gonna lie. This was a slammage, which is good to see, you know, especially after losing a close hard point. You want to see an absolute takeover. This is good from both teams. It's good for Optic to say, right, we got it in our bag. We bought this one back. Phenomenal map. It's also good for Gentlemates to say, after getting absolutely slapped in the hard point, to return the spanking to them in the search. It shows a lot of mental there. And this, once again, it was just a rough one for Optic. I think they just got outplayed in all scenarios here, and it wasn't even a close one. It was phenomenal. Ghosty 8-1, Neptune 8-5, Sib 5-5, Envoy 5-2. Optic just struggled to find kills. They really did. They struggled to find kills. They found themselves in clutch situations almost every single round, and it was one of the best S&Ds all weekend. It really was. So yeah, Den Search and Destroy and Den Hardpoint was the difference there, and then Scars the Overload was also the difference there for Gentlemates. This was a really good series though. You look at this and you say, you know what, fair enough, we'll take it, but I think we got them in the rematch. Like, if you're Optic leaving this, you're like, you know what, like, that was a good series. I think with this Optic team as well, it's nice to have a reality check after taking over the last 6 months, being on top of the world. Just having that reality check is probably nice. Like, all right, we got this still. We just got to, you know, keep doing what we did that got us here, because they were the underdogs going into champs, and the narrative's now flipped to where like they're like the absolute favorites again, like they used to be. And it's just good to get that. All right, we got this. We're still good. And yeah, I think it's an okay series to lose if you're Optic. It's not the end of the world. Then we go over to the next series, and once again, Gentlemates Optic now play Thieves. So this was going to be the winners the losers final, sorry. So obviously only 4 teams, but here you go. We'll skip through this one. Hardpoint, fairly close, man, fairly close. I was a little bit like, what's going on here? But yeah, Optic did a great job going through. They managed to win the map 1. Fairly good performance overall from Optic. Again, Hydra not really able to slay out there. Kenny having a rough one. Scrap taking over. So I just think right now you just want a little bit more consistency from your squad. I just feel like a lot of times when I'm watching this Thieves team from the weekend, like there was one person playing well, one not. Like there wasn't, like with Gentlemates, I feel like a lot of the time they were all just playing decent, you know. Like Scrap had a takeover map, he really did, and they weren't able to convert that one, so it must be frustrating. They go across there into the map 2, really close game here. Just again, really good map from Scrap. I think Scrap map 1 and 2 had one of those takeover series, started really well, and the overload was incredible. In fact, Thieves actually started off really well. I think they were 3-0 up on the good side. They go through, and then Optic just took over the second half of the game, made it 4-3. If you watch that one back, that was a very good competitive map there. You can see the game doesn't show Optic winning it in terms of the stats, but I don't think that was Thieves being inefficient. I think that was just, again, when you actually watch that gameplay, it was a bit weird because one side was so lopsided for Thieves, then for Optic, so that's just kind of how it crumbled. The stats didn't really reflect that map. Then you have map 4 Hardpoint. Again, I feel like this was a fairly dominant Hardpoint from Optic. They felt totally in control. One of the biggest things I think they did really well is they made P1 a money hill. When I played personally, I feel like P1 is good, but like there's so many ways to break it. I think they did a great job on the P1. I think they were ahead of their rotations. They played their P1 well, and Shotzzy had a rough one. He really did, but every single other player on his team had a really good map. So you see a little bit more of that consistency from Optic there. And yeah, overall, a great series from them. And you're happy going into, you know, the grand finals. I think as well, I went to sleep, but this was super late. This was like 12:30 for them, starting the tournament at, like, for them as well, 6 hours earlier. You know, they're probably checked. They started the tournament like 5 p.m., I think it was, or like something like that. 8:30. They started the tournament at 3:30 p.m. And then it went all the way to like midnight. So I definitely feel like it was, you know, they'll probably just checked at that point. But hey, I think, you know, both teams are in the same situation. It is what it is, bro. And yeah, I didn't see this series, but I caught up just before stream to see what went on. But this was an insane map. I want to probably look at this and break this one down because I need to see what happened there. I saw a crazy comeback. But yeah, I can see just from the scoreline as well, it's the overload, man. I think the overload is a big difference. I really do. You look at map 2, it looks like a clutch map, right? Fair enough. They go through. It's a good map. They win it. But then you have the overload, and again the overload, and Gentlemates just clutching their 3rd overload in a row. And I think that's just a difference maker, because that goes to Optic. It's now 2-1 Optic. You never know what happens in the hardpoint, man. But hey, I just feel like the momentum goes through at that point. 3-1, and then Den Search and Destroy, just like earlier. Flawless from Gentlemates. Look at the actual series as well. Ghosty and Neptune, what a takeover series, man. Dropping 102 and 103 apiece. Phenomenal stuff there. Shotzzy had a rough one, and yeah, even the rest of Optic, it was fairly lopsided, I will say, in the finals. So if you're Gentlemates, you're feeling good, man. You're feeling Gatarga's probably gassed. He's probably sitting there absolutely loving life. And if you're the boys on Gentlemates, you just said, listen, we're here to play this year. So CDL weekend is approaching. That was a full recap of the tournament. We're going to be doing some breakdowns on my main channel as well, where we fully cover specific maps. So you guys want to check that out, make sure to check it out. I'll catch you guys for another video later on today. Peace.